Are you familiar with the so-called war on Christmas? A manufactured outrage used to fuel fear, division, and Christian nationalism? Why does this myth persist? What does it reveal about cultural insecurity? And how can we respond with clarity, values, and compassion instead of getting dragged into the muck? Welcome to another bonus edition of the MTB Podcast, a segment of the weekly episode that I call Afterthoughts. This is my favorite part of these weekly presentations because it gives me a chance to dig a little deeper into something that came up during the main episode. This week, I'd like to talk about that annual tradition where lights go up, families gather, and right-wing media outlets warn you that liberals are secretly plotting to kidnap the baby Jesus from your nativity scene and replace Silent Night with a spoken word performance about the wonders of socialism. Oh, those demon bastards. That's right, folks. We're going to talk about the war on Christmas. It's true. Every December, Fox News acts like Christmas is a fragile, endangered species, surviving only through the heroic courage of people who yell at Target employees for saying, "Happy Holidays." And honestly, at this point, it's like watching the same bad holiday movie every year. The plot never changes, the acting is ridiculous, and the villain is completely imaginary. But the soundtrack is just catchy enough that millions of people still hum along to it. So, in this episode, we're going to look at what's really going on. Not just the surface level nonsense, but the mechanics underneath. And then we'll move into something more constructive. How we can respond without getting sucked into the outrage machine. And how to stay grounded in values that actually matter. So let's dive into that in this episode of Afterthoughts. So let's name the big scary threats we're supposedly facing. Seriously, folks, brace yourselves. This is some heavy duty shit here. Someone said Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas. and Starbucks used the wrong color cup. It's a coded satanic message. And there's a city hall. I saw it on the internet. A city hall put up sparkling crystal snowflakes instead of the baby Jesus. And maybe the worst of all, my kid's public school held a winter concert. Oh, the humanity. Yeah, that's it. That's the whole war on Christmas. Christmas, a multi-billion-dollar commercial juggernaut, a cultural force so massive that retailers start selling decorations before Halloween. Christmas is allegedly under attack because, one barista didn't say the magic words? Look, I gotta be honest. If your holiday spirit is that delicate, please don't leave your home during even a light breeze. You're gonna find your fragile little self being blown away. The truth is, there is no war on Christmas. There never was. There is only a story designed to spark outrage and make some people feel like brave defenders of a faith that, quite frankly, was never in danger to begin with. So what's actually happening here? Well, inclusivity is happening, not erasure. The real reason people say Happy Holidays is simple. We live in a world with multiple holidays, plural, more than one. Happy Holidays acknowledges Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, solstice celebrations, New Year's. Even the people who just like a nice winter break and a peppermint mocha will feel included. The intent is kindness. We're not trying to erase anything. Now, yes, some corporations have handled this rather poorly. Some leaders panic and say, oh, fine, then no religious decorations at all. Sorry, but that's just clumsy and unnecessary. But even that isn't an attempt to eliminate Christmas. It's a misguided attempt to treat employees and customers equally. And here's the irony that right-wing media never mentions. Most atheists, humanists, and non-religious people celebrate Christmas too. Yeah, we decorate trees, hang lights, drink cocoa and bake cookies. Yeah, we just tend to skip the manger scene and the angels with the pretty feathery wings. So if non-religious people can enjoy Christmas without freaking out about who said what greeting, maybe the problem isn't the greeting. Maybe the problem is insecurity masquerading as righteousness. Now, let's dig a little bit deeper. Why is the war on Christmas a recurring theme? Why stir up outrage in a season that's supposed to be about goodwill? Well, there are several reasons, and none of them are holy. First of all, fear and anger keep people glued to the TV screen. Yeah, it's all about political grievance marketing. Outrage boosts ratings. It strengthens this tribal identity and keeps viewers in a sort of a permanent defensive crouch. But it's also about identity reinforcement. Right? The narrative tells certain Christians, we're the real Americans. Everyone else is invading our holiday. This is Christian nationalism dressed up in tinsel and twinkling lights. And it's here that I want to inject a quote you may have heard before. When you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. Let me say that again. When you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. That's the entire war on Christmas, summed up in one sentence. For generations, Christmas dominated America culturally. Now that it shares the stage, at least a little bit, with some other religious and secular holidays, some people confuse sharing with losing. Right? To them, equality feels like oppression because they've been so privileged for so long. Another reason for manufacturing this culture war is to simply mobilize for power. When people believe their religious beliefs are under attack, they're more willing to support policies and even laws that erode church-state separation. If they believe Christmas is endangered, then naturally, we need religious liberty laws, which somehow always means giving a certain type of Christianity special treatment. And finally, if people spend December fighting about the color of their Starbucks cups, they're not talking about the truly important issues that so many conservatives and Christian nationalists really seem to want to avoid. You know, things like health care, affordable housing, poverty, climate change, or democracy backsliding. It's the oldest trick in the book. Distract with nonsense while you quietly consolidate power. I mean, hey, but, nothing says honor the Prince of Peace like weaponizing the holiday season for your own political gain. Am I right? But let's be fair. At least for a moment. I mean, it is the holiday season after all. For many ordinary people, not the pundits or online influencers, for many ordinary people, this outrage feels real. That's because it comes from fear of cultural change. It comes from nostalgia for childhood and from confusion about a world that's more diverse than the one they remember growing up in. If your identity rests on one holiday being the holiday, then any change to that feels very personal. Now that doesn't excuse the anger, but I think it does help explain why that anger spreads so easily. Okay, so let's take a deep breath. We've roasted the nonsense. We've unpacked some of the motives and named some of the tactics. Now let's turn toward something that's a bit more constructive, more practical, and hopefully grounded in values. Because rolling our eyes at Fox News is fun, but it doesn't really help us build a better world. So how can we respond to all of this ridiculousness with values, not just with outrage of our own? Well, if someone starts complaining about the cashier at Target saying Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas, we can practice a little patient curiosity. Instead of launching into a debate, we can try asking, why does that bother you? Now, you could get a range of responses, but the key is to understand that the response to this question could reveal some deeper emotional truths. That's what we're listening for. So you might hear things like, well, it feels like everything I grew up with is disappearing. Or, I don't understand why things have to change. Or, I just want people to respect my beliefs. It seems like Christians are being pushed aside. It feels like other cultures are taking over. Or someone might say something like, I just miss how simple things used to be. Why does everything have to be so political? None of these answers justify their anger, at least not in my mind. But these answers do reveal some of the real issues. Things like identity, fear, even uncertainty. It's really not about Christmas greetings. It's about something deeper. If we're patient and curious, maybe we can help some of the people in our lives see the truth. Now, we can also try to reclaim the narrative. We can say things like, saying happy holidays includes everyone, and inclusivity doesn't erase your tradition. It just acknowledges that other traditions exist too. Or we could tell people saying happy holidays is kindness. It's not an attack. Christmas isn't going anywhere. It's literally the most celebrated holiday in America. We could remind people or let them know most atheists and humanists celebrate Christmas. We're not trying to kill it. We're trying to enjoy it without excluding others. Or you could also try being a little bit more blunt. You could tell them, if a simple 2-word greeting is enough to ruin your holiday, maybe the problem isn't the greeting. Look, just because someone else is outraged doesn't mean you have to be. But don't forget that practicing patience does not mean agreeing. It means not letting someone else's fear hijack your values. As I was pulling together my ideas for this episode of Afterthoughts, I started thinking about what a more hopeful vision of the holiday season could be. Imagine a world where the holiday season isn't a political battlefield, but more of a yearly reminder to be our best selves, where hope strengthens us, patience binds communities together, and kindness overrides fear. Now imagine carrying those values into the rest of the year, instead of, packing them away with the ornaments and sticking them in the attic for the next 11 months. Christians will claim that Jesus is the reason for the season, and that's true to a point, or at least it's true to say that Christians' belief in Jesus is the reason Christmas initially grew in popularity. But I think it's easy to see that the real magic of this season isn't supernatural. It's human. It's relational. It's the warmth we create together, intentionally. And no fake culture war can take that away. So as the voices of outrage grow louder and louder this time of year, I encourage you to remember this. Those voices are performing a script that's written for ratings, for political leverage, and frankly for cultural dominance. It's not about human connection. They couldn't care less about that. In fact, their business booms if they can keep us disconnected from each other. They can keep us screaming at each other about the war on Christmas that has never really existed. As we go through the rest of this holiday season, here's something else to consider. They can write their own divisive script, but they don't get to write our story for us. We get to make our own choices and write our own story, our own script. One rooted in values that actually matter. One that stays steady, patient, and hopeful. One that refuses to let fear shrink our world. Let them keep waging their imaginary war. We'll be over here building something real, something human, something good, this season and every season after. So from my home to yours, I'd like to extend a very, very heartfelt Happy Holidays. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Afterthoughts. If you want to keep up on everything I'm doing, please head over to thecodaproject.com and subscribe to my newsletter. You'll get notifications whenever I publish anything, and I'll also keep you updated on the weekly live streams of mythologizing the Bible. If you subscribe for free over at the Coda Project, you'll start receiving my publication called The Weekly Compass. This is a brief guide on a single core value. Think of it as a mini lesson plan for personal growth. It's perfect for families, students, and adults because I include discussion questions designed for each group. As a subscriber, you'll also have access to the Guide to Kitchen Table Activism, which is a detailed resource designed to help you be politically active from your own home. The guide explains why activism is important, the philosophy behind kitchen table activism, and the foundational values it supports, before laying out how to use the tools you have to make your voice heard. It provides tools, tactics, and templates for you to use, and it only takes 15 minutes a week. If you care about our democracy, our country, and our world, then I encourage you to check it out. While you're at it, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you'll start receiving my newsletter called The Kitchen Table Activist. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, remember to question everything, keep what's good, and live what matters.